Welcome back. We're having a little bit of a cozy morning here. I've made myself some tea. I've got myself a chi. I was going to read some Christmas themed Am I the Assholes? You want to hang out with me while I do so? I've got one pulled up. I literally just Googled AITA Christmas, and I'm going to try to probably read like the ones from this year, you know what I mean? This one's from a couple days ago this year. AITA for skipping Christmas with my family because my mother doesn't want my stepson to take part in a family tradition. NTA, like, hello? What do you mean? I'm gonna probably just give my first thoughts and reactions just on the title as we go because, what do you mean the son doesn't get to partake in the family traditions? Anyways, let's read the story. My 33 male parents, 64 female, 68 male, own a country house, and there's a little tradition for every child in the family to plant a tree there. I did it myself, my brother, sister, nephews, and nieces all did it. I have a 6-year-old daughter with my ex-girlfriend. My mother called to ask if I'll have my daughter for Christmas. Because now she's old enough to plant her old tree. I told her that I will not have my daughter. I will, though, have my stepson, male, 7. My mother was silent for a moment and told me she didn't consider having my stepson plant his own tree. I was offended by that. It made clear that she didn't see him as part of our family. She then said, "There's no guarantee he'll remain in our lives." Rude. Sorry. Let me contain myself. I'll read the rest. She then said there's no guarantee he'll remain in our lives, which obviously implies she's considering that my marriage to his mother may not last. I told her if that's how she feels, she should not expect us for Christmas this year. Was I too harsh? I wonder if I could be an AH because it's her property after all, and she does have the final say. Yeah, I stick with my initial thoughts. Not the asshole. That's your wife and your son. Like, stepson qualifies what kind of son it is, but notice that that's a kind of son. That's your wife and your son. If they're not included in the family traditions, then, like, what are we doing? Like, that's your wife and your son. What do you mean they're not going to be included in the family traditions? I don't know why would she feel that way towards a kid, too, you know what I mean? I bet it has nothing to do with the kid. I bet she feels some sort of thing about the new wife, and she's probably just taking it out on the kid. That's messed up. That's messed up. Like, yeah, it's her property and all, but, like, also that's your family and all. What do you mean? What do you mean you feel it may not last? That's crazy. Like, this isn't, like, the new girlfriend and her kid or something. You know what I mean? Like, this is your wife and son at this point. I'm with the commenters here. Pretty much everybody here in the comment section seems to agree that he is not the asshole. Like, that's your son. A lot of people are here in the comments giving stories about, like, their stepchildren and whatnot, and it's like I said, a stepson is just a qualification of what kind of son. He's your son. Let's move on. That one wasn't very controversial. I feel like if you disagree, like, what's wrong with you? I'm just kidding. If you disagree, explain yourself down below, because I'm very confused. Let's do another one. AITA for uninviting my oldest daughter to Christmas over Santa. I, 43 female, have children with very large age gaps. My oldest is 25. My younger two are 9 and 7. Sometimes I paraphrase these stories and I skip over, like, unneeded details. That's what I just did there. Because sometimes these people are just add way too much detail. Like, I don't need to know, like, who's ex of who. Basically, the point is, she's 43 female. She's got an oldest daughter who's 25 and 2 younger ones that are 9 and 7. My youngest children believe in Santa, while my daughter's son doesn't. Okay, I see where this is going already. She raised him not with Santa magic, which is perfectly okay. I just rather not have it ruined for my children who do believe in Santa. I was having Christmas at my house, and I asked my daughter if she'd please talk to her son, because I wouldn't like the magic ruined for my kids. I still put packages under the tree from Santa, leave cookies out, reindeer treats, all that. My daughter told us she wouldn't make her son lie, and my children are old enough to understand if her son decides to say something. I told her if she wouldn't talk to her son, they would not spend Christmas at their apartment. My daughter didn't like that and said I was choosing my youngest children's happiness over hers, and that I was being completely unreasonable. My husband supports me, but thinks I might be being a little too high-strung as our children are getting older. So the husband doesn't actually agree with you. He's just not trying to start a fight with you. He's like, oh, I totally support you, except, are you sure you're not being high-strung? Hon, I'm sorry to break it to you, he doesn't support you either. He's just being, like, a good husband. I just want to keep the Christmas magic alive. AITA. Oh, gosh. That's... I don't know. I guess right off the bat, I'm thinking, like, not the asshole, because... Sure, like, if you want to spend Christmas a particular way, and you want to spend Christmas a different way, I don't think that's, like, messed up to just be like, okay, cool, you do your thing and we'll do our thing. Like, right? If they're not really, like, if the two things... I understand ideally you'd want family to be together. But, like, if the two things are not conducive, then, like, cool, you do your thing and I'll do my thing. Could it be like that? But see, I'm going to go read in the comments because this one is already marked as a-hole. So I'm like, why do you guys think it's such a big deal that she's being... If she wants to have Christmas for her kids the way she wants to have Christmas for her kids, why shouldn't she be able to do... Well, oh gosh. I don't know, for some reason I'm thinking of the other mom as, like, not the original mom's kid. It's like, that's your kid too. I don't know, I'm just thinking, like, if you want to do Christmas one way and we want to do it the other, let's do it. But let me see. Could you explain? I'm going to read a comment here. Could you explain to your children that not everyone believes in Santa and that's okay? What happens if your kids have friends that are Jewish or Buddhist or parents that perhaps just don't provide the Santa experience? Huh. Empathize with your children. But it seems like there should be creative solutions here that don't make other members of your family feel unwelcome. YTA. Okay. That's a welcome perspective. It doesn't have to be just like, oh, you don't like this? Let's not do it together. That's a good point. Get creative. And she had another good, it's like, yeah, what if there's people around in those children's lives, which I'm sure there is, that don't believe in Santa? Or, like, don't believe in whatever religion those kids believe in, or anything like that. So I feel like this would actually probably be a good time to just broach the whole, like, not everybody believes the same thing we believe type of conversation with her kids. And 9 and 7 are not exactly, like, you know what I mean? Like, they're a little older. It's like, I have a feeling that they kind of have already been told by their already friend. You know, 9 and 7 is like, I'm trying to remember when I learned that Santa wasn't real, but I feel like it was a lot younger than 9. Like, I don't remember for sure, but I feel like I was a lot younger than 9. I'm not sure. So here's the thing is, you might be picking a fight over something that the kid literally already even knows. So, that's interesting. I'm wondering, yeah, again, along the lines of, like, creative solution, couldn't they just, like, not necessarily have the kid lie, say, like, oh, yes, Christmas is, you know, Santa is real. I don't know, I don't know, I was just gonna say something like, I don't even know where my thoughts going on this. As you can see, this is a very impromptu, I didn't read any of these beforehand or anything, so my thoughts on these are going to be very impromptu. So if I say something silly or, you know, an opinion that I don't stand by, then it is what it is. We're just hanging out this morning. But, basically, I would say nobody's the a-hole, but, yeah, I guess it makes you a little bit of the a-hole by just cutting it off right away and getting angry and not trying to be creative first, right? Seems like the general consensus, I come up with a more creative solution rather than just like, oh, you don't want to do it my way? Then you can't join me. Okay, now that I say it like that, it sounds a little bit like the a-hole. Alright, I see where they're coming from on that one. I'm going to read this one because literally just the title has me heated. And I'm very, very glad that the consensus seems to be not the a-hole, because I honestly thought it would be a little bit more divided on this issue. So let me just read you what the title is. AITA for refusing to give up my Christmas leave for a colleague who has kids. like I said, initial reaction. Your kid, your responsibility. I have nothing against kids. I have nothing against parents. Nothing against, like, you know, parents having a strong support network around them and their children. But unless I am included in your, like, family and friends network, then I'm not included in your family and friends network. You know what I mean? Anyways. So, context. My office closes over Christmas and generally opens the 2nd or 3rd of January. This year, we were instructed to put in our leave request up until the 2nd. If you'd like to request any additional days off, you need an additional request. I put in all of my requests to request up until January 8th, as did 3 out of 5 of my colleagues. One's coming back December 2nd, and the other one didn't put in any extra days. The one who didn't put in any extra days has since gone to the manager and said she wanted to take off until the 8th as well, because she wanted to spend Christmas with her kids. They're like 8 or 9, and her husband. My bosses declined, as they need 2 staff members here, and it hadn't been put in beforehand. Colleague said she wasn't put in the extra days already, but the rest of the team knew, and did it. I'm not sure what that means. Bosses said the only way she could have it off was if she could get another staff member to come back early. She asked me in a very passive-aggressive email, Christmas holidays are about being with family, and because I don't have any children, I could come back on the 2nd and stop at 3rd. I was going to curse right there. Who do you think, ma'am? Who do you think you are? Like, oh, you could just do it. Or I could just not. What do you actually mean? I'm sorry, this one is actually frustrating me. I hope she's leaving out a lot of content. It wasn't just so straight up nasty. Like, hey, you don't have any kids, so you come back and I'll go. Like, that's rude. Because, quote, Christmas holidays are about being with family, and I don't have children. I could come back on the 2nd and swap with her. I declined, saying that I had plans for that time, and she lost it. She's been going around saying that I ruined her holiday plans. I'm trying not to cuss. Ma'am, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Someone needs to go talk to HR, because that is inappropriate workplace behavior. Going around telling all the employees that, oh, she ruined my Christmas. Especially when it's not even true. But, like, girl, am I being inconsiderate of people with family and children's? No! That one random person is being inconsiderate of you. For one, this is one random woman with her family. This isn't children and families as a whole. So, no, you are definitely not being inconsiderate of children and families as a whole. No, absolutely not. Like, you're not going into family-friendly spaces and demanding children not be there or complaining. Absolutely not. That would be inconsiderate. Short of that, I don't see how and especially because everyone got the requests, like, at the same time. Everyone knows that, like, if you work at an office place with other people, you gotta schedule Christmases and stuff way in advance. Like, that's really messed up to just at the very last second waltz through and be like, oh, everyone's not gonna rearrange for me? Rude. Like, no, ma'am, you're being rude. Come on. Sometimes I feel like people's, like, feelings and emotions get all caught up with it. I know she's trying to empathize with this person, and that's great, but, like, let's not take that too far, because do not feel bad for just doing things that are absolutely reasonable of you to do. Like, everybody got a request, you requested the days off, you got the days off, and now you want to take the days off. That is not unreasonable. She's unreasonable. Okay, this one sounds interesting based off the title. Let's try it out. AITA for telling my son's mom she can have him for Christmas if she pays for summer vacation. I share custody of my 8-year-old son, Elliot, with my ex. It's mostly split, and we have a calendar that we revise if needed. Usually, we swap him every week, but around holidays, we extend the times. So the ex gets him for half this month, and I get the other half. The reasoning for this month's schedule is that she was planning on spending Xmas with her SO back at his home state, and I wasn't planning on traveling, just Christmas at home. This week, the ex said her SO wanted to take her and Elliot on a ski Christmas holiday. And could she actually have him the last 2 weeks of December? I said, so let me get this straight. You have him for 2 weeks already, and now you're asking for another 2 weeks? Oh, okay. So she already got her first 2 weeks of the December, and now she's just like, can I get yours as well? I don't know, ma'am. She told me that we could talk about it afterwards. I said, no, we can't. I'll tell you what. If you give me money up front, so he and I can take a summer vacation. She said that was outrageous. I said, not as outrageous as asking me to give up my time up front, and you're refusing to give me anything up front in return. And yes, I would be willing to negotiate. And if I asked her to give up her time and let it be known and not hang out like she did, my son might not want to go. He probably would rather stay with dad and spend Xmas break, on play dates and sleepovers with his friends. AITA. The OP has offered a following explanation for why they think there might be the a-hole. My ex asked for my December custody time and wouldn't discuss what I'd get in return until they come back from their trip. I told her to finance a summer holiday and I'll agree. Otherwise, no. She thought it was absurd. That takes a second of thinking, but I'm going with a-hole. This, you're thinking about you and the mom, not the kid. Like, the focus of this whole thing is not what the kid wants, what's best for the kid. Ask the kid. What would, he's just saying, oh, I assume you want to stay. Ask him. Ask him. Does he want to stay with you, or would he prefer, what's best? And it's not only, of course, what the kid wants, but, ask him. That's part of it. But, what's best for the kid overall? You know what I mean? Is a ski trip gonna be a good, enriching way to spend his time? You know what I mean? What? Think about the activities he's gonna do at home and, sleepovers and all these things. And my initial thoughts are, those things are much more common and happen pretty much kind of all the time, all throughout the year and everything. A lot more often than a ski trip. You know what I mean? So it's I don't know, I kind of feel like they're both just a-holes. I feel like they're both not very good at communicating with each other, the parents, that is. And that, unfortunately, probably affects the kid, right? Again, because the kid was not the focus of that story. The focus of that story was what do I get from her in exchange for the kid? It's you're using the kid as a bargaining pawn almost. You know what I mean? That just seems it just feels a little icky to me. Nothing in that story was oh, this would be best for the kid and she doesn't want to do it. You know what I mean? Nothing about that story was about the kid. This one was already marked as asshole. Let me read a few comments, see what's going on. This is your child, not something to be used to get for vacation. Yeah. The fact that the first thing that came to your mind was money. Everyone kind of sucks except the kid. Your ex. That's basically what I said. Everyone sucks. The parents just are not getting along, and it's negatively affecting the kid. Why can't you have Elliot from now until he goes on holiday, and then she'll have him the last 2 weeks when they're on holiday? Yeah, here again, it's I'm confused because this was posted a week ago. We're only so she didn't already take her full 2 weeks. She'd only gotten a few days into the first 2 weeks. You know what I mean? Your son's not a transaction. Stop treating him like one. That's not how custody works. You don't have to pay to see your own son. Yeah. See, a lot of people are you're not. Yet again, the parent is more interested in a fight with the other parent than actually thinking about what's important for them. That's pretty much, yeah, okay, so people actually pretty much agree with me on this one, that, your first and foremost thought was to have a fight with this woman instead of it, I'm sitting here with no kid, with no co-parenting, with none of that. No authority to speak at all. And yet, I'm gonna say this, your first priority if you're co-parenting seems like it should be getting along with that parent, because it's just absolutely completely proven that when the parents don't get along, that negatively affects the kid. You know what I mean? So it's I understand you and her are exes for a reason, but you can't let that affect the kid. And I feel like that's affecting the kid here, because your first thought, again, was fight with this woman instead of do what's best for the kid. AITA for disinviting my brother-in-law from Christmas because he keeps telling my son to call me by my first name. This one sounded really confusing, so I wanted to read it. My husband has 3 brothers. Charlie and Mike are in their 30s, while Spencer is 5 years old. Okay, I thought I read that wrong. While Spencer is 5 years old. Okay. Spencer's their half-brother from another dad. Their father passed away shortly after Spencer was born. 2 years ago, Spencer's mother went to prison. My husband and I began fostering him. Oh, wow. That's a confusion of a triangle there. It didn't take long for him to actually feel like our son. As it was, my husband and Spencer didn't have a brotherly relationship. He was more like an uncle. 6 months ago, Spencer's mom lost her parental rights. My husband and I have been working on adopting him. It should be finalized after Christmas. Oh, cute. Fun. I'm so happy for Spencer. Spencer is so excited. Cute. He's been calling us mom and dad for a little over a year now. So this is just basically all legal, not like changing how we feel in our hearts. Cute. Okay, so like they've become a little family unit. Love that. Charlie and Mike have been supportive of the whole ordeal for the most part, but we faced a road bump recently. When Spencer began calling us mom and dad, Charlie found it odd. He said that we weren't his parents. I said, legally, yes we are. I said he doesn't have to be Uncle Charlie if he doesn't want to be, but we're raising him. Interesting. I'm sorry, I'm just going to interject before I even finish the story. If you're raising someone, you are mommy and daddy. If you are parenting someone, if you're the guardian of that person, you're their mom and dad. You're not their birth parents, but you're their mom and dad. So I'm kind of over this story already. I know where it's going. I can see where this is going, but let's finish her up. Charlie says that we're basically erasing their dad from Spencer's life. I said, no, we talk about him and Spencer's, bio mom often. This won't be a secret. Again, mom and like, you can use the word like bio mom. Like, you can still talk about those people. They're not necessarily erased from their life just because you're now calling someone else that you wouldn't have called dad. You know what I mean? Like, just because they're acting as dad doesn't mean that person is still not, like, your father, your birth father. Or, you know what I mean? Like, you can use whatever term you want. Mike and my husband have both told Charlie to just let it go. I've noticed, however, that when talking to Spencer, he specifically refers to me and my husband by our first names, or he'll say, ask your brother, or, ask your sister-in-law. We've tried to talk to him about it, but Charlie claims it's a force of habit. You can't claim that. You already... Stop. You can't claim that. You already said what it's from. We were trying to let it go, but then one day Charlie corrected Spencer when he called me Mama and said, no, that's Kate. Spencer got confused and said, no, that's Mama. Charlie told him that's not his mother. This upset Spencer further. I've had enough, frankly. Spencer is our son. We have him in therapy and have also asked Charlie and Mike to attend family therapy with us. Only Mike's agreed. I told my husband that I don't want Charlie at Christmas. We are hosting. And if he's just going to upset Spencer and undermine our place as his parents. My husband said it's completely up to me. So I told Charlie either he stops correcting Spencer or he can't come. The story's not even over and my opinion is pretty fully formed. Not the asshole. That's so reasonable. Like, stop trying to act like I'm not parenting this kid when I am. Don't, you know what I mean? And also, even if you don't agree with whatever with the terms, don't bring the kid directly into that. Don't upset and confuse the kid. Like, I'm telling the kid one thing and you're telling it another. You know what I mean? Like, if the kid goes home with me at night, even if you don't agree, like, for the most part, you keep your mouth shut because that kid goes home with me and it needs to, like, live a happy, conducive, stable life where, like, things are what they are. You know what I mean? They don't, like, switch back and forth all the time. Like, that's mom. No, it's not. Yes, it is. You know? That's a lot for a kid. Now Charlie is mad and says I'm keeping him from his brothers at Christmas. I said if my husband wants, he can go visit him. And if he wants to see Spencer, he can promise to stop undermining my place. Charlie calls me dramatic. Mother-in-law wants all of her boys at Christmas and says that I can put up with it for just one day. She said it's hard for her to be around Spencer, but she does it for us, so I can put up with Charlie and see his side. Am I the asshole? Edit. To add, my husband has been advocating for Spencer and does stand up to his family. It's not just me. Okay. Yeah. Now that we've reached the end, my opinion remains. You are not the asshole. That's very reasonable. You're absolutely invited. All you have to do is just not upset and confuse the kid. Hello? Like, mom-in-law wants all of her boys and says I can put up with it for just one way. No. No. No, I don't think that's something you put up. Like, that's the thing, is if it were the mom putting up with something for one day, I would probably be on the side of the mom-in-law, just put up with it for one day. But this isn't the mom putting up with something for one day. This is the kid being confused and upset for one day. Not acceptable. That's where I would draw the line. Okay. Here's a good one. AITA for accepting my family's Christmas invitation despite my husband being upset. This one's actually from last year, but I'm going to read it because it sounds interesting. And right off the bat, it sounds like you'd a-hole. I, 32, female, met a wonderful man, Philip, male, 36. 2 years ago. We got married 4 months ago. For context, I have a 10-year-old son from my previous relationship, and my ex is not in the picture. I have to admit that Philip's relationship with my family is not so great. They would disagree on a lot of things. For example, he had an argument with my dad when he said that he was keeping their grandson away from them, but Philip stated he wasn't, and that he couldn't visit with Billy because he had work. The latest argument was what made things worse. My mom and sister were discussing natural remedies, they're into that stuff, for my niece, and Philip, he's a pediatrician, called both of them ignorant for not using medicine instead, which caused a huge argument and Philip being no longer welcome at my parents' house. They'd send me and Billy an invitation for Christmas but not include Philip, which I expected given how strained their relationship has become. I called my mom to confirm that I'll attend, but the minute Philip found out, he was off, saying he could not believe I was fine with my family excluding him and then agree to go and leave him behind. I told him it's their celebration and I don't get to decide their guest list for them. No, you don't, but you get to decide if you're on the guest list or not. This sounds awful already. Oh, shoot. I lost my place. Where'd I go? I told him it's their celebration. I don't get to decide the guest list for them. And also, I'm not leaving him behind because we did not have any plans for Christmas. He said he thought that we'd automatically celebrate together, the three of us. But now I'm taking Billy away from him as well. I thought that was a bit melodramatic because it's literally just a few hours at my parents' home, but he insisted it was about the principle and respect. He had a big argument, and I said that he basically alienated himself by continually picking arguments with my family. But he started ranting, saying it wasn't about the fact that they didn't invite him, but the fact that I was willing to let him spend Christmas alone without me and Billy. We went back and forth on the issue, but we do not seem to reach a resolution. My parents are used to spending every major holiday with Billy, so you can see how much pressure I'm getting from both sides here. I'm going with you, the a-hole. Families are going to have disagreements. They're going to have difference of opinions, and, you're welcome to express those to each other. You got to keep your emotions in check. If this man thinks you're ignorant, then he thinks you're ignorant. Like, no, you know what I mean? And if you're confident in what you're doing, keep doing it. Like, it doesn't have to be a whole, like, oh, I can't even have this person around me because he doesn't agree with me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really subscribe to that. I don't think that, like, if you don't agree with me, if you think what I'm doing is wrong, then I don't want you around. You know what I mean? I don't know. And again, if her point is like, oh, it's only a couple hours at Christmas. Right, it's only a couple hours at Christmas. Your family can't just, like, get along with your whole family unit. You know what I mean? It's not like this guy has some other plan and you made a plan. It's like, you're just leaving him with nothing. Like, again, I would too assume that my little family unit is going to spend Christmas together. Like, I didn't really, like, oh, like, you're going to spend Christmas with me, right? Like, no, I would assume too. So I'm on his side. Like, I think that's kind of an asshole move. To just leave him alone, for one. It's one thing to, like, do something else if he, like I said, has something else going on, but you're just leaving him to sit at home alone. No, I think the family is being dramatic here, and I think you're going along with it, and I think that's messed up to your husband. Okay, I think we'll call it there. That was a couple of interesting stories for sure. Turns out we got a lot of assholes around Christmas, but nobody's surprised, right? Anyways, thank you so much for joining me. If you liked that video, don't forget to hit the little thumbs up down below. Subscribe while you're hanging out down there, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.